Welcome to the deep dive. And wow, this week the passion is just jumping off the page. Schoolboy rugby derbies in South Africa's Eastern and Western Cape delivered a weekend of absolutely electrifying action. Our sources this time really give us a fantastic look into these fierce rivalries.
They really do. These aren't just games, are they? They're huge cultural events. And our sources capture that intensity, the tradition, so well.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we're really getting into the weekend's rugby. We'll focus on those big clashes, some genuinely surprising results from the Eastern Cape's King Price Derby series, and those always, super competitive games in the Western Cape.
Yeah, and our mission here is to pull out the most exciting bits, the key results, so you get a clear picture of the highlights and, what makes these rivalries just so gripping.
Right. And it's also fascinating how different the playing conditions were. Our sources highlight this real contrast, the weather the teams faced in the two regions.
Yeah, that weather contrast is definitely a key factor this weekend, no doubt influencing how some games played out. Let's kick things off in the Eastern Cape then with the King Price Derby series.
Okay, let's do it. First up, Wynberg traveled to Port Elizabeth to face Grey High. Our sources paint a picture of real buzz around this game.
Yeah, big expectations.
And Wynberg, they came out firing, took a commanding 20-7 lead by halftime on the Khaleesi field. They looked pretty comfortable.
They certainly did, laid down a marker early on. But, Grey High at home, they're never out of it. Their comeback in that second half, it really showed their character, didn't it?
Oh, it was impressive. They came out strong after the break, kicked the penalty, then scored a converted try pretty quickly. Suddenly, that Wynberg lead, just 3 points. The atmosphere must have been something else.
You can just imagine that shift in momentum, the home crowd getting behind them. But what's interesting is how Wynberg handled that pressure. Our sources suggest they showed real composure.
They absolutely did. They did what good teams do. They steadied the ship. Skipper Jathan Orange got over for a try after some patient buildup, and then maybe 3 minutes later, boom, they scored again. Looked like they'd wrestled back control.
That really says a lot about their cool heads, particularly the leadership, in those key moments. But the game kept swinging back and forth, didn't it? That's what made it so exciting. Grey High just wouldn't give up.
No, they hit back again with another try, kept themselves right in the fight.
Relentless stuff.
But then, with about, 12 minutes left, Wynberg scored again. Made it 32-22. You'd think, okay, that's probably it now, right?
You would think, but credit to Grey High. They never say die. They managed to grab a late try. Daniel Node got his second, actually. Made the final score 32-27. Really close in the end.
So yeah, despite Grey High actually winning that second half on points, Wynberg's first half performance, that initial dominance, it got them the win. Our source called it a solid poster game for schoolboy rugby. You can see why back and forth, quality stuff.
Definitely. A tough, hard-earned win for Wynberg on the road. Okay, let's switch scenes a bit. Still in the Eastern Cape, another King Price derby. Dale College hosting Queen's College in King Williamstown. Different weather here, our sources say, sunny afternoon.
Right, a different feel entirely.
Yeah.
And this one sounds like it was much closer in the first half. Queen's College were just ahead, 7-6, even though they had a player sin bin for a bit.
Yeah.
Shows some real grit to hold on like that.
It really does. Defending like that when you're a man down, that takes serious team spirit. But the second half, wow, it kicked off with a bang. Tell us about that interception.
Oh, this was brilliant. 2 minutes into the second half, Queen's College's Ayathanda Mkiando, apparently he's a sprinter for the school, our sources mentioned, picks off a pass, and he was gone. Full pace, all the way for the try. Suddenly, 14-6. Huge moment for Queens.
You can imagine the energy shift. But what's interesting is how Dale reacted. They didn't crumble, did they?
Not at all. Just 5 minutes later, they hit back with a try themselves. Pulled it right back to 14-13, game on again, loads of time left.
The tension must have been immense then. Our sources describe it becoming a real grind, a bit of an arm wrestle after that. Queen's College started getting more territory, putting on the pressure. Sounds like Dale's defense was really under the pump.
Yeah, relentless pressure.
Yeah.
And then, with just 5 minutes to go, the dam finally broke. Queen's College got through for a try. That pushed their lead out to 8 points, and, that sealed the win. Crucial score right at the end.
Yeah, tough one for Dale, but a fantastic result for Queen's College. And that win, that's their 7th in a row now. That's a serious run of form in this league.
It really is. But, as our sources point out, they've got a massive test coming up against Grey High. That'll be one to watch.
Definitely. A potential classic there. Just quickly wrapping up the Eastern Cape, our sources also mentioned St. Andrews beat Graham College 17-10 in Grahamstown.
Okay. And Selborne College got a home win against Port Rex, 27-16.
Right. And importantly, Selborne have their own King Price derby next weekend. They're hosting Dale, so another big one to keep an eye on there, both teams wanting a result.
Absolutely. Right then, let's completely switch gears, head over to the Western Cape. Conditions there, as we said, total opposite of that sunshine in King Williamstown.
Oh yeah. Our sources use phrases like mud-caked shirts and windy skies, proper winter rugby down in Paarl and Stellenbosch. Tested the skills, for sure.
Definitely looks like it. Yeah. And the stakes were massive, weren't they? 4 of the country's top 5 ranked teams were playing in that area.
Huge weekend down there. Let's start with that big one in Paarl. Paarl Boys High, or Boy Shy, hosting Grey College. This was a really significant result, wasn't it? Grey College taking their second big loss in just 3 weeks.
It really was a statement from Paarl Boys High. Our sources pointed to their forwards, called them a unified forward pack. Sounds like they just dominated, especially in second half. Set piece, physicality. In those conditions, that's often the difference maker.
Absolutely. Wet, windy. You need your forwards to lay that platform. And it sounds like Iwan Jordan really capitalized on that dominance for Boy Shy.
He certainly did. 2 converted tries, plus he kicked 2 penalties. That's basically the winning margin right there. Huge performance from him in tough conditions.
Yeah, a match winner. This loss, it's gotta hurt Grey College, especially after losing to Paarl Gim recently, too. Our sources note they've got Affies next, another tough one.
No easy games at this level.
Yeah.
But for Paarl Boys High, what a confidence boost heading into their massive derby against Paul Roos.
Oh, absolutely massive. That sets up that derby perfectly. And speaking of Paul Roos, they had their own huge game, probably one of the most anticipated the whole weekend, hosting their big rivals, Paarl Gymnasium.
Yeah, this is always a colossal fixture, isn't it? Paul Roos unbeaten in 2024 until this game, though our sources hinted some of their wins this year were maybe a bit closer than expected. Paarl Gim, meanwhile, were flying high after that win over Grey College.
You could just feel the build-up, and then you add in the mud on the Mark Cotter field. Seems like it really dictated tactics. Lots of kicking, safety-first stuff from the fly halves, according to our sources.
Makes sense. You don't want to be making errors deep in your own half in those conditions. Play for territory. And apparently, Paarl Gim's captain, Marcus Muller, just thrived in it. What did our sources say about him?
He was outstanding, by all accounts. His kicking game was spot on for the conditions, apparently, and he made this massive turnover on Keenan Stoffels, which led directly to a try for Gim, just a real captain's knock, leading from the front.
Wow, and on top of that, he kicked the only successful conversion of the whole match. In that win, put Gim up 17-5. In a tight, muddy derby, that goal kicking is gold dust.
Absolutely priceless. Paul Roos did fight back, got a try, showed their spirit, but yeah, it wasn't enough in the end. Paarl Gim held on. Our sources even suggested this win puts Gim firmly out in front for SA rugby school sides right now, with Muller being the standout player. That's high praise.
It really is. A huge win for Paarl Gim, confirms their form. Our sources also gave us a quick look at some other Western Cape results. Yeah, quick rundown. Bishops managed a home draw with SACS 14-all. Sounds like a last play. Try to level it after some good SACS support. Stellenberg beat Rondebosch 23-22. That's their 3rd win against the Southern Suburbs team. This season they beat Weinberg and SACS earlier. Impressive run for Stellenberg? Yeah. Oakdale had a big home win against Durbanville 43-7. And Peril Valley beat Belleville 43-20. Okay, lots of action. And looking ahead, next weekend, another King Price Derby fixture. Bolin Landbow host Paul Roos. So, yeah, the intensity down in the Western Cape just keeps rolling on.
Wow, what a weekend day. Just intense derbies, some results that might just shake things up a bit, and some incredible individual performances across both provinces. And like we said, those totally different weather conditions really added another layer, didn't they? Impacting the style of play.
Absolutely. So hopefully you've now got a really good handle on the main talking points from the weekend's Schoolboy Rugby without having to wade through everything yourself. We've tried to bring you the key insights. So here's something to chew on. With these results in, and some huge games coming up, what shifts do you think we might see in the rankings over the next few weeks? And which of these massive rivalries, which game do you think will have the biggest say in how the rest of the season plays out? It's definitely shaping up to be a fascinating year.